This is the Coleman Sundome Dark Room 6-person tent, and my first reaction after zipping the door behind me was, whoa, it's actually dark in here. I'd read the 90% sunlight blocking claim and was skeptical. I've owned plenty of tents that promise cooler mornings and end up glowing like a lantern at sunrise. In this one, I reached for a headlamp at noon because my eyes needed a few seconds to adjust. That set the tone for the rest of my time with it. A tent that nails its headline feature, but asks you to accept some trade-offs. The key features that stood out to me are the dark room fabric, the classic 10 by 10 foot floor, the 6-foot peak height, and a quick setup that doesn't make you grumpy before dinner. If you're newer to camping, dark room is Coleman's name for fabric that blocks most sunlight and cuts down on heat buildup from direct sun. The shape is a standard dome, not a cabin, which means the walls angle inward, and you only get true standing height right under the peak. The rainfly is the outer cover that clips over the mesh body to keep rain off, and the bathtub floor is a tough polyethylene tub that climbs a few inches up the walls to help keep runoff out. From my experience, setup is exactly as easy as people say. It's the familiar 2 main fiberglass poles that cross into an X with continuous sleeves, plus a short third pole that holds the fly out to create little awnings over the door and back window. I've done it solo in about 10 to 12 minutes without rushing, and I did it in around 5 to 6 minutes with my kid handing me stakes. The quarter pin and ring system is simple, and the fly buckles on without fiddling. The carry bag matters more than you'd think. This one has an expandable rip panel, so you don't have to fold the tent like a map to make it fit. After a damp takedown, that saved me a bit of cursing. The floor space is generous, and the main reason I picked the 6-person size. 2 queen airbeds do fit wall to wall, or 1 queen plus a big open lane for duffels and a dog. In my opinion, 6 adults only works if everyone's in sleeping bags and you're okay with 0 gear inside. Realistically, I've been happiest with 3 or 4 people plus bags. I'm just under 6 feet and can stand straight in the middle, but once I take a step toward the door, my head hits mesh. That's the dome trade-off. If you want a big living room vibe, a vertical walled cabin tent does that better, but it won't be as quick to pitch. Let's talk about the dark room fabric on hot days. I tested on a sunny weekend, and the interior did feel cooler than a regular light-colored tent at lunchtime. It wasn't air-conditioned, but I could lie on an air mattress without feeling baked. The real win was sleep. I woke up at 7:30, saw night in front of my eyes, rolled over, and slept another hour. If you camp with kids, this helps with early bedtimes and naps because the tent doesn't light up like a lantern at 6 p.m. There's a catch, and it shows up when the fly is on and the weather is warm and wet. Ventilation without the fly is great. The body has big mesh panels on both sides. There are 2 sizable windows and a ground vent that scoops air in. With the fly on, airflow is just okay, and with humid rain it can feel stuffy. Darkroom fabric and a partial fly aren't very breathable, so body heat and moisture hang around. I had one muggy night where I cracked the door zipper, just a hair under the fly awning, to help cross-vent, and that made it livable, but it's a balancing act. Rain performance is where I hit mixed results. Light rain and quick showers? No issues. The tub floor is tough, and the welded corners are solid. On a longer storm, with steady wind, I did get seepage along the lower wall seams, especially at a back corner. For anyone new to tents, Coleman uses inverted seams on the body. Stitches are tucked away, but they're not taped like the seams on the fly. With a partial fly that stops halfway down, water runs off the fly, hits the exposed lower wall, and can push through those body seams when things saturate. That's exactly what I saw. Damp lines tracing the seam above the floor, and a little puddle in the corner by morning. After that trip, I took a bottle of seam sealer and treated the lower body seams and corners. Next rain, I stayed dry. If you camp where storms are common, I'd also spray a light DWR refresh on the fly and bring a small tarp to pitch as an extra awning. It's not glamorous, but it works. Wind is another area where expectations should match the price. The frame is fiberglass. It's light and affordable, but it's not as forgiving as aluminum. In my testing, normal breezes and mild gusts were fine with the guy line set. In one exposed site, with 20 to 25 miles per hour gusts, one pole developed a split at an end ferrule. I used a repair sleeve and finished the weekend, but it was a reminder not to leave this tent broadside to a gusty lake if a front is coming. Staking all guy points and adding a couple of beefier aftermarket stakes helps a lot. I also rotate the door slightly away from the wind so the fly awning isn't acting like a sail. Storage and livability inside are basic. You get 2 small pockets and a lantern loop. That's it. I tossed in a cheap gear loft and a hanging organizer, and it made a big difference. There's an E-port for a cable if you run power, helpful for fans or charging. I do miss a vestibule for muddy shoes. I used a small outdoor mat just under the door under the fly's little brow, which kept grit out of the sleeping area. It's perfect for car campers who want a fast pitch and the ability to actually sleep past sunrise. It's also great for families who need a dark, calmer space for kidnaps at the campground or a festival. If your usual trips are summer state parks with mostly clear forecasts, this nails the brief. If your trips often involve shoulder season storms or windy ridgelines, you'll want either a full coverage fly tent or to budget for seam sealing, extra guy lines, and possibly stronger poles. I'd recommend this for sleepers who are light sensitive, parents who value early bedtimes, and anyone who prioritizes quick setup and a roomy 10x10 floor over full storm protection. From my experience, a few low-cost tweaks transform it from fair weather only to fair weather plus passing storms. Seal the body seams, upgrade stakes, carry a pole repair sleeve, and use a tarp as a supplemental porch in rainy forecasts. In my opinion, the core story is simple. The dark room claim is real and worth it if sleep is your priority. The interior space is generous for hanging out on a queen airbed or giving kids a dim, quiet nook. The setup and takedown routine is painless enough that you won't dread moving camp. The compromises are also real. Partial fly, untaped body seams, and fiberglass poles mean it's not a tank in rough weather. Respect those limits and you'll likely be happy. Expect it to handle a weekend of sideways rain and gusts without prep, and you might come home with a damp corner and a taped pole. In conclusion, I like it for what it is, a comfortable, dark, easy family shelter for fair to moderate conditions. Treated with care and a little DIY sealing, it earns its keep on bright, hot days and lets me sleep later than any tent I've owned at this price. If that matches your camping style, it's a solid buy. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the Coleman Sundome Dark Room 6-person tent.